The fate of the New York sports scene is in the hands of the New York Jets, Jets tomorrow on Monday Night Football, ESPN, 8:15. It's all going down, and our next guest will be in the building in the Bay Area to cover it all. He is Robby Sabo, co-founder of JetsXFactor.com, and he's kind enough to join us tonight here on the show. Robby, happy football Sunday to you, man. Hope your flight out to San Fran went well.
Yes, it was beautiful. And when was the last time the state of the city cans was best? Let me ask you that to start.
Well, Robby, let me ask you this, because I have a question off of what you just said. Was Hassan Reddick possibly on your flight, or are we at a point now where it's confirmed he's not in San Fran, he won't be playing for the Jets tomorrow?
I had my head on a swivel, as coaches love to utter at times, but no sign of Reddick. I think the Jets are going to have to go without him, and it's going to be edge by committee. I think we're going to see a lot of faces. Saleh loves the rotation. Can they get it done? It'll be base-specific with Clemens. It'll be sub-package specific with McDonald and McGregor and Tack. It'll be a tall order, but they have enough bodies.
When you look at this defense without him, Robby, give us your thoughts on Will McDonald's growth. Michael Clemens, you mentioned, will probably be the starter in the base package. What are reasonable expectations for this Jets defensive line without Hassan Reddick in this game?
Yeah, I could hear all the Jets fans, smiling sarcastically from ear to ear when they see Clemens in the starting lineup. But hey, fans have to realize that's just the base package. And he's a bigger edge. Saleh loves the bigger edge. He's opposite JJ, who's a power guy himself, not as big as Clemens, but that's base. And if there's a team perfectly suited for Clemens, it's this Niners team. With Juszczyk playing the fullback a lot of 21 personnel. They use 2 tight ends. They use big formations pretty much more than any team in the league, this side of the Baltimore Ravens. So right out of the gate, without Reddick there, Clemens, this is a massive test. And if any team he could, perfectly fit against their formation and their personnel, it's this team. In the sub-package, I think it's what I said before. Just keep throwing guys at the Niners, whether it's J.J., McDonald, Tack, McGregor, even Leonard Taylor in the middle with Quinnen. I expect both of them to be together at times on 3rd and long. Just keep rotating them. Line up J.J. in the B gap, the A gap at times, standing up, looking like a linebacker, and get them, the first and foremost is to get them in 3rd and long, put the pressure on Purdy, and then throw guys at him.
Robby Sabo from Jets X Factor will be in the building tomorrow night in the Bay Area for the Jets and the Niners. He's joining us here on the Jake Asman Show on 880 ESPN, ESPN New York, and the ESPN New York app. Robby, Aaron Rodgers, of course. The debut, the return for him, he didn't play in the preseason. He did an interview with Alex Smith that aired today on ESPN. He basically said he would have liked to have been accidentally hit at some point by somebody in training camp this summer, and that didn't happen, so he goes into the game tomorrow just kind of a little anxious about that first hit. What are you reasonably expecting from Rodgers? And in hindsight, do you think maybe he should have played in the preseason at some point so his first live game action is not in this one tomorrow night?
It should be fascinating with Rodgers. And in this vein, last year, the whole scene, 9/11, the American flag, everyone was hyped up. The scene, the atmosphere, Jake, it was incredible. And Rodgers himself, even though he's a vet, even though he's a Hall of Famer, he felt it too. He was giddy. He was hyped up. He was trying to make a play. And part of that is what led to the injury. It was a cut block with Dwayne Brown. He should have got rid of the ball. Okay, we're not throwing flowers for the O-line, but still, I think he even admitted it in the great Ian O'Connor's book. This time around, after a year off, how does he handle that? The Niners, they're not an aggressive D, but Rodgers usually takes what the defense gives them. Yet we know the Jets are going to want to establish Brees in a power running game. So how quickly does Rodgers start changing things at the line is going to be a huge narrative to follow. And yeah, I expect him to be a bit jittery early on, but I think the earlier he engages in terms of, not thinking, okay, I got to stick to the script, is when I think he's going to get out of those jitters and feel good.
What are your expectations overall this season for this Jets team, Robby? I look at it like if they're ever going to win the AFC East, this feels like the year, but at the bare minimum, this team's got to be a playoff team. What are your expectations for the Jets in 2024?
Talent-wise, they should win the division. Period. Stop. They should. I mean, talent-wise, looking at the roster, that's absolutely the case, objectively speaking. I mean, look at today. All three teams won. We know that, but it didn't look good for a while. So how strong is the division? Time will tell on that. But talent-wise, they should win. To me, they're the favorites talent-wise. It'll come down to coaching, as it did last year, coaching and injuries, coaching and health. And, I think they're the front runners. And anyone who doesn't think they're the front runners, they're just leaning on same old Jets type narrative of yesteryear. And while, yes, it repeats itself time and time again, you got to be more objective than that. And the talent that they have up and down the depth chart, they really should win this division.
We're talking with Robby Sabo of JetsXFactor.com. He is in San Francisco ahead of the Jets and the Niners tomorrow night. Robby, let's get back to the game at hand tomorrow. If the Jets win, what specifically is the biggest thing they have to do if they're going to pull off the upset in this one on Monday Night Football?
Defensively, no big chunks, no big plays. As I mentioned before, they love 21 personnel. They love base. They love bigger packages because they run the ball, and they established a run with McCaffrey. McCaffrey, we know he's banged up. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play. All signs point to him playing. But that leads to the play action. They are not a typical modern offense, where you spread them out, you go three-step a lot. They're more power gap running and then work the play action in chunks off of that. I mean, yeah, they mix in Debo with jet sweeps and some orbit motion, but it's dink, dink, dink in terms of the running game and then just go over the top. So whether it's Sauce, DJ Reed, especially Reed, who plays really aggressive, Tony Adams, who's really aggressive as a solo high free safety, they cannot get beat deep, because if they get beat deep, that's when the points are really going to pile up against them. So defensively, I think that's the key. Offensively, I don't know what the deciding X factor will be, but it will be interesting to see how they lay out their script, their first 15, 17 plays, and how stubborn Rodgers is with that. It'll be, I think tomorrow is going to be a game where the Jets' first offensive drive will tell us a lot about how things are going to unfold.
Call your shot, Robby. The Jet player who scores the Jets' first touchdown of the season is?
Let's go, Tyler Conklin. Got to go Big Conklin.
Wow.
Got to go Big Conklin. Think little theme maybe on the fringe of the red zone, 22-yarder to Rodgers, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, and Rodgers takes his shot in a running situation and gets the Niners on their toes. I mean, listen, the Niners aren't a crazy blitzing team. We know this. From Solid to D'Amico to Wilkes and now to Sorensen. Sorensen, I think, is going to be a little more aggressive, but I think, they're not a crazy aggressive defense. However, when they're playing the run, they get caught on their toes a lot. So, just don't think blitz in terms of aggression. It's over pursuit. And if you're at 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, this is Rodgers' game. That's his main killer. That's where he kills defenses in terms of the between the ears being one step ahead of the defense. So, I think Conklin on a seam, like a 20-yarder on a 2nd and medium is a good bet.
Robby, excellent job out of you. Glad you made it safely to San Fran. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks so much.
You got it. Anytime, Jake.
This is the Jake Asman Show on ESPN New York.
But the Bears do pick up a win, and the Titans will be 0-1, which is notable because that's the Jets' Week 2 opponent in the Titans' home opener next week. And I don't care what the record is for the Titans, they got to beat them. I think the Jets have a great chance to win tomorrow night, but they definitely got to win Week 2. And you can honestly say Week 2 for the Jets might be bigger than Week 1 is tomorrow because it's a conference opponent. As great as it would be to beat the Niners, you lose tomorrow as a 5-point underdog to a team that was in the Super Bowl last year in their building. You can't kill the Jets. Now, if they are horrible, they don't play well, they get destroyed, that's different. But if they lose a competitive game tomorrow, and most importantly, Aaron Rodgers makes it through the entire game, if they lose, there's no shame in that. There would be shame if you can't beat the Titans the following week and you fall to 0-2. That can't happen. And I'll say this before we get back to your calls to wrap up the show. I think the Jets have an unbelievable chance to win tomorrow. Not just because I think they're a really good football team, which I do, but if you're going to play the Niners, you want to play them early. And then the stats back that up. Since 2021, the Niners are just 12-12 through the first 8 games of the season. Just a 500 team. And at home, they're 5-6. They're an NFL best 23-4 in games 9 through 17. They're a great team, but they don't become a great team until games 9 through 17 and then the playoffs. The Super Bowl loser is 5-19 against the spread in week 1 of the following season. So those are just some numbers there that kind of back up the Jets as a live dog in this one. And even without Asman Reddick. You saw the Bengals today. Their stars didn't practice all summer. How'd they look? Losing to the Patriots. You mean to tell me Brandon Ayuk's going to be in tip-top shape? Trent Williams is in tip-top shape? Christian McCaffrey is on a reps count. He's not fully healthy. Jets are a live dog tomorrow. I think if the Jets win, their best player has to be Breece Hall. I think this is a game you feed Breece, you let him take over, you let him be the best running back on the field tomorrow. That's what I want to see. Let's get to more of your calls. We got to check in with this guy on the eve of the Jets opener. We say hello to Ira in Staten Island. Hello, Ira.
Hey, Jake, what's happening? And just before I get to the Jets, did anybody check on Rothenberg and make sure he's okay?
Oh, my God. I almost texted him, but I figured he would strangle me if I did, so I didn't.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. But anyway, you're right. I think what the Jets need to do tomorrow night is basically what the Pats did, run the ball about 40 times, and I think they will. And listen, even before the Niners signed Ayuk and Trent Williams, the motivation for the Jets is so much higher. And listen, if they played 10 times, the Niners would win 8 out of 10. But we're catching them at the right time. And I think Rodgers has a major chip on his shoulder to show to the world that he's back. And I love the Jets tomorrow night. And it's not being a homer. I just think they're hitting the 49ers at the right time, 23-20 type of ball game. And listen, you can't overreact with week 1, and I get everybody won in the AFC East. But listen, you know more about all these teams in October, and you're so right about every quarterback in this league. And you know what kills me about I'm glad Donald won today. I'm glad he played well. But, you know, and once again, I'm not crying over spilled milk. The Jets ruined him. And you know what? He should have been a little bit above an average quarterback in this league. And unfortunately, you know, it didn't happen. Maybe he gets his career right like Geno Smith did in Seattle. Maybe he found the right spot with Minnesota, with McCown and O'Connell there on the coaching staff.
Ira, great call. And I'll say this for Sam Darnold. I think his ceiling is probably around the Geno Smith. The Jets obviously couldn't afford to wait that long to find out. Same with Geno. But Sam Darnold was done no favors by the Jets. I mean, they gave him Adam Gase as his head coach after his rookie year and said, this is the guy to coach you up. And they had one of the worst rosters ever put together. I mean, they were horrible. So certainly Sam Darnold, I think he's proven to not be a great quarterback. I think maybe he could be a serviceable starter. We'll see this year. He's getting another chance. He was okay in Carolina. He was a backup last year. So we'll see. But I'm happy that he had his moment in the sun today. He played well. Because here's the thing with Darnold, right? Darnold always handled himself well. He never blasted the organization on the way out like Jamal Adams did or some of these other disgruntled Jets. So I think you could root for Darnold. But I'm not buying the Sam Darnold is now the dude for the Vikings. I think the Giants' defense is not very good. And we've seen Darnold play well at the beginning of seasons before. And then, you know, defensive coordinators learn his tendencies. They adjust, and can Sam adjust back? But we'll see. As far as Ira being that confident in the Jets, wow. I hope he's right. I do think the Jets win tomorrow. And if you're a Jet fan, by the way, I should mention this because ESPN New York has been a great partner in all this. I'm hosting a watch party at T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan tomorrow. We have 400 Jets fans that have already RSVP'd. So if you're a Jake Asman Show listener, if you're an Asmaniac, if you're a Jet fan, and you want to watch the game with a bunch of crazy fans, RSVP on my Twitter account or my Instagram. There's a link. Or just show up at T-Squared Social tomorrow night. Game's at 8:15. I'll be there at like 7 to start getting ready for this one. I can't wait. So, see you tomorrow night, Jet fans. More of your calls. Let's say hello to Jose in Brooklyn. He's next. Hey, Jose, how are you?
Good evening, Jake. Shout out to the company, and I'm just pretty much getting excited for, you know, the football season starting, and for us Jet fans, it's going to be starting tomorrow, and which I think is going to be a very big, highlight profile game. And I'm hoping for a Jet win as well. And, I know you read all the statistics and, the point spread record. And I think that, we always see, that Super Bowl hangover team, especially from the Super Bowl loser, to kind of, have those rough patch starts. And kind of like what you mentioned with, Ayuk and Williams having their contract situations and not really, they're being in the building but not actually partaking in any of the physical activities or playing or practicing. They should be able to, create a much slow situation because we kind of just saw what happened with the Patriots and the Bengals, as I also got knocked out of the survivor pool because, we saw Jamar Chase did not play. T. Higgins was also called out. So it's just and they pretty much didn't look very well today. So
yeah, I mean, Jose, thank you for the call. They have a great chance to win tomorrow night. They do. You're playing the Niners at the right time. The Jets are healthy, which is more important than anything with the Niners, right? Mike Williams is full go. He's not even on the injury report. Tyron Smith's going to be out there. He's not going to play 17 games for you, but he'll be out there tomorrow. Let's see how he does against Nick Bosa. He gives you a chance. So I'm with you. I have under a minute. So, Gary, I'm going to you. I need your quick take in 10 seconds because I feel bad you've been waiting on hold for 45 minutes. Go ahead, Gary. Make it quick.
I'll make it quick then. The New York Football Jets. I'm 41 years old. I'm a Jets and Mets and a Nets fan. I'm not old enough to see any of my teams win. This has got to be the year. We got to do it this year. They got to figure out the Hassan Reddick thing.
He's got to figure out the Hassan Reddick thing. All right. Pretty good take. Now, full disclosure, I didn't cut you off, Gary. That was Joe Leo. He's got the quick trigger. All right.
We're up against the clock. Come on.
They call Joe Leo the American sniper of 880 ESPN New York, the way he gets rid of callers. I just want to make that point known. Anyway, fun show. Thank you to Joe for producing. The Met game ran late. That's why instead of a 3-hour show, it only ended up being about a 90-minute program. I will end tonight's show by saying the following to all my fellow Jet fans. Jets, 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 Jets. This is Jake Asman saying, have a great night, everybody. Talk to you soon.